Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. I'm Heena Gambhir. Do you know that Kerala is the only state in the country where individuals appointed for just 2 years with ministers become eligible for pension for full life? You heard me correct. And in fact, this is what the Supreme Court observed today while refusing to entertain Kerala Transport Authority's plea against government-owned oil marketing company's decision to hike price of fuel for bulk consumers. Now, the apex court meant if the state can afford to give lifelong pension to people appointed for just 2 years, then why not hike the price of diesel sold in bulk? But tonight, our focus is Kerala's political pension policy that was slammed by the top court today, something that has been questioned by the governor as well of Kerala in the recent past. Let's tell you what exactly is this political pension policy of Kerala government. To put it in simple words, a person who serves as personal staff to any minister, chief minister, leader of opposition is entitled to a minimum pension of 3,550 rupees plus 7% DA plus gratuity, and the maximum pension limit is about 83,400 rupees, which is almost the salary, by the way, of a government employee there. Now, this has been costing the exchequer over 80 crore rupees per month, and this, in fact, has been happening since April 1984. In fact, it was a state cabinet decision that led to this policy being in place in Kerala. So it's been about 40 odd years. Now, personal staff of the chief minister, of various ministers, if they serve with the minister in the government for a little more than 2 years, then they become eligible for pension. Now, normally the criteria is that, the people need to serve for at least 10 years. Other government employees become eligible in Kerala if they serve for at least 10 years. But here in this case, only after they complete 2 years, they are eligible to become, they become eligible for lifelong pension. Now, on Urban Debate tonight, we want to ask, is this not an abuse of taxpayers' money? You can also call us and share with us your views on the numbers that are flashing at the bottom of your screen, whether such a pension scheme should exist or not. Because remember, these are not appointed through any sort of government process. Usually, government employees have to go through a particular process and then they are selected for various posts. But here we are talking about people, the personal staff of these ministers, and the number is huge. In fact, the latest update that we have is that in 1 year, about 362 such individuals were there with about 21 ministers, and this number keeps on increasing, and this is causing a huge burden to the exchequer as well. So, like I said earlier, you can also call us and share with us your views on this particular issue. Joining us on the broadcast right now are my guests on this particular story. We have with us Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP. Joining us, Kevin Matthews, who's a political analyst, live with us. Advocate CP Pramod, leader CPIM, also live with us. And Jagdeep Chokar, who is co-founder ADR, joining us on the broadcast too. Good evening to all of you. Thank you for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Tuhin Sinha, I want to begin the discussion with you. Simple question. Isn't this an abuse of taxpayers' money? Today, in fact, even the Supreme Court said that Kerala probably is the only state in the country where this kind of a pension scheme exists, wherein you work with the minister or the leader of opposition or any other minister in the cabinet, and then you are eligible for lifelong pension.
Well, good evening, Heena. I'm glad this hypocrisy of communists is getting exposed finally, thanks to our over there, Arif Mohammad Khan Sahab. Unfortunately, you can imagine the amount of taxpayers' wealth that has been looted by the communists largely, and also by alternate Congress governments which have existed in Kerala for the last 38 years. And unfortunately, this is also the most brazen case of political bribery. You are inviting people to be your political workers by first getting them on your payroll for the first 2 years and then giving them permanent pension for the next, till they are alive. So I think this exposes the communist hypocrisy. This shows their absolute disregard for the wealth of the poor. But I'm sorry to say this, that almost all opposition parties in the country, while it may be today, it may be the case of the communists in Kerala, but almost all opposition parties have been looting public money in this manner. Mamta Banerjee has a scheme of giving 5 lakhs every year to football clubs, which a recent report found out don't exist apart from them existing on paper. So where do that money goes? Obviously, it is meant to bribe your political workers. Akhilesh Yadav had a scheme where every month 50,000 rupees were given to 50 popular people from Uttar Pradesh. That included people like Anurag Kashyap, and that was discontinued by our government. So unfortunately, this only shows that opposition parties know, their only agenda seems to be to bribe their karyakartas to somehow be with them. They indulge in very shameless forms of looting public money. I'm glad this has been exposed and the Honorable Supreme Court has taken cognizance and flagged it.
Okay, so you see it as an attempt to bribe the Karyakarta and in a way also trying to suggest that this is nothing but a reward that's being given to them by the political party in power in Kerala. Advocate C.P. Pramod, how will you like to respond to what BJP has to say? BJP calls it political bribery. Supreme Court has also questioned this political policy, political pension policy that your government has.
See, first of all, things have to be properly studied, examined and studied. Then only you can make some allegations, because this is nothing has to do with the communist hypocrisy, etc., as my friend suggested or alleged. Because in Kerala, in 1984 onwards, this scheme is pending. It's not a new scheme introduced by the left government at this point in time. And from 1984 onwards, for the last 30, 36, 37 years, it is continuing. And the thing is that, the beauty is that even the scheme has been introduced by the late CM Shri K. Karunagaran, who is the leader of the Congress. So it is primarily introduced by the UDF government or the Congress government in the state. And we see that the Kerala is a state wherein social security pensions are given even for the past 30 years or 40 years. We are believing in a mechanism of social security schemes. And unlike the NDA government or the UPA government at the center has written off huge crores of amount for the corporate dues, etc. Because that is directly a bribery on the leaders of the parties who were ruling at the center, and it is not vice versa. See, giving a petty amount of 3,000 rupees for a person who served in the government for 2 years and above, not 2 years, 2 years and above, as a security pension is, if you are saying that you are coloring it as, painting it as a bribery on workers.
Why do you have this kind of a social security? Why do you have this kind of a social security only for party Karyakarta? Can you explain it to me? This is taxpayers' money. What are you doing to provide job security to the people of Kerala?
I am coming to that.
What about their social security?
I am coming to that. The social welfare pensions is also around 52 lakhs. You just imagine what is the total population of the small state of Kerala. So 52 lakhs persons are receiving social security pensions every month. That too an amount of 2,600 rupees per month. And you can say that it is an extravaganza, etc., etc. Now the Supreme Court, actually Kerala State Road Transport Corporation's case was taken up, wherein the central government imposed a tariff hike for the diesel, which was purchased by the SRTC. It is not at the normal rate. So they were questioning that, and the Supreme Court asked, as a passing reference, see, you have money for payment of pension, etc., for others. So what happened?
Advocate Pramod, I want to interrupt you here. Advocate Pramod, you're not answering my question. Yeah. 1 second. I want to first understand from you. You have called it a social security scheme. So I want to understand from you, when was this really cleared by the assembly? Because schemes usually have to be cleared by the assembly. When was it cleared in Kerala assembly? Can you explain it to me?
This is
It
what I
came
am
as an order of the Kerala cabinet in
no.
1984. Your government
That
has
is
been continuing it, has been giving the benefits to your political, people, the political appointees, if I may call them.
There is a rule for that because subordinate legislation empowers the government to do such things by making amendments in the rule. And from 1984 onwards, it is in place. And are you saying that it is only by executive order? Absolutely wrong. It is not by executive order. And if there is a rule, subordinate legislation has authorized the government to do that.
Is there a
And
bill? Did you take the legislator route?
Pardon?
Is there a bill, Advocate Pramod?
See, no
Is
bill.
There a bill in this regard? Do you have a bill? Have you brought this issue to the assembly? Because correct me if I'm wrong, Advocate Pramod, usually, if there are changes in the salaries of MLAs, etc., for that also, the bill, the amendment comes in the assembly. Did you bring any bill in this regard? Aren't you operating via just an executive order? Just because it suits every political party? You were very convenient to say that, UDF started it, but you've been continuing it.
That I will clarify, because you cannot equate that with the pensions of MLAs or MPs or even the governors. Those are all covered by statutes. Here, rules authorize the government to pay salary to the employees, and pensions is also like that. And any revision in the pension or salary of the state government employees is not a subject matter of the legislation again, as in the case of MLAs or MPs or even the governors or even the president, etc. Those require statutory sanction by the legislative assembly. Here, this is not the case. And government is authorized under the rule to modify the pension, etc. Now, nothing has been done. Because every 5 years, there is a hike in the salary of the state government employees. And these persons are given...
No, you do not really call it abuse of taxpayers' money. So you do not think this is an abuse of taxpayers' money. Jagdeep Chokar, you heard the viewpoint of CPIM leader here on the show. Now, these are the people who are not selected by any sort of government process or any sort of, examination. These are political appointees. There are crores of taxpayers in the entire country. I'm sure lakhs are there in Kerala also. They are also not given this kind of a pension security.
See, every word...
Why only Karyakarta?
This is the case.
Ministers,
Advocate Pramod, 1 second. Let Mr. Chokar respond.
Minister's professional staff is not at all appointed through a written examination or by the service commissions.
Can I speak?
Public service commissions. Okay, you carry on, sir, please.
1 second. Advocate Pramod, I'll come back to you. Advocate Pramod, I'll come back to you. Yes, Mr. Jagdeep.
Okay, let's...
You see, this is a very interesting situation, I would say, where, first of all, the Supreme Court Justice who made this comment really did not need to make this comment. The case was something else, but since he said that he had read it in the Indian Express yesterday or today, which is perfectly all right, these are called obiter dicta, and therefore they are not legally binding. But yes, this is true that Kerala government has been giving this so-called pension to people who have been employed with the minister's personal staffs after 2 years of such work since April 1984. And my understanding, as I read from one of the reports on the case, is that they were made eligible for a pension through a special rule issued by virtue of a decision of the state cabinet. Now, if the state cabinet has taken some decision, it is obviously justiciable and it should be asked. And I believe there is a PIL pending in the Supreme Court on that very issue. This is one. Whether it is wrong or not, the judiciary will decide. As a citizen and as a tax-paying person, I don't think it is correct. It is wrong. But at the same time, I am not holding a brief for any particular party, but I know that all particular parties make these kinds of payments which are not genuinely legal, authorized payments of public money. And that is how the political parties run. And even if they get money from elsewhere, there are now very, very interesting instruments called electoral bonds, through which political parties get money unknown to anybody as to where are they getting it from. So I don't think this is a case where any one political party can be holier than thou and find fault with the others. But on the face of it, making such people eligible to pension does not sound to be, it does not look very nice. Although everybody does it, but this has been caught. It is the same case that you can do what you like so long as you don't get caught.
With due respect, Mr. Jagdeep, you know, you're right when you say that no political party today can claim that it is better than the other, because we know about political appointees, how they are brought, but nobody, I'm sure, is paid pension the way here we have some people getting lifelong pension, and that is the reason why probably the Supreme Court today made this very, very crucial comment.
Let me tell you, we may not know how these payments are made, but let me tell you another instance of a legislature's completely high-handedness. Several years ago, the Punjab Assembly passed a bill saying that all criminal cases of all MLAs will be withdrawn. But before it could be sent to the governor, they were told they don't have the power to do this. So if the Kerala cabinet has decided to do this and they don't have the power, the PIL in the Supreme Court will show that. So therefore, this pension giving is wrong. I have said so. But there is nobody here who can condemn somebody else.
Okay. Kevin Matthews, where do you stand on this entire issue? The employee of a left neta today is more deserving than the poor on the street, than the ordinary taxpayer in Kerala?
Well, I consider certain points mentioned here, but let me put this first. Kerala has been a welfare state, and it is not a single pension scheme. There has been a number of pension schemes happening. Kerala has been a welfare state, both by the left and the Congress party. Kerala has maintained its position as a welfare state. There are thousands of pension schemes, other schemes happening in the state. And yes, now my concern here is, while this amounts to a very small figure compared to the other stuff, taking this up today, okay, this is for the people, and the youth should come. It's good that the youth outlets have brought this to the attention of the people, but then just let it, because it's a small stuff, let it go. There are much bigger issues, and even with the Supreme Court diverting an issue such as fuel prices to something so trivial as this itself is with a different motive, in my opinion. So this is the kind of motive we have. That is, let us not compare apples to pineapples. These are two different things.
Okay.
So that is my first convention here. I concede, yes, maybe this can be revisited. The other parties, BJP, the Congress, can raise this up in the upcoming elections. We can look at it for people to decide. And it's in the prerogative of the government to do this. So
Tuhin, but the point is that how can something like this be compared to welfare, social security scheme, etc.? Because, a widow gets 1,400 rupees, cadre gets up to 80,000 rupees.
You know, Heena, the choice of the personal staff of a minister is very critical in the entire system, because often the minister carries out corrupt activities through that staff. So you would recall that one of the first decisions of the Modi government was to ensure that no personal relative of a minister can be appointed in his personal staff. This is the sort of example that we have set. On the other hand, these hypocrites looked at opportunities, these public money. Examples also. I gave you other examples of football clubs in Bengal where 5 lakhs worth of taxpayers' money is paid to football clubs, which exist only on paper. And I'm sure there are many other ways. If you go to Telangana, but yes, the opposition governments have experts at it. They don't care for public money simply because they don't have a nationalist perspective. They don't they are here for the next 5 years. They will collapse, and then because most of these parties are, except for Kerala, most of these regional parties are dynastic parties. So the moment that dynasty collapses, like BSP has collapsed today, they don't care for the future of that state. They don't care for the future of the country. They fleece public money because they know that they can leave a state in debt-ridden. They will not be accountable 5 or 10 years later. They live for the moment. That is the problem with these regional parties.
Okay. Tuhin, I know Kevin also wants to come in, but before that, let's also listen into what the people of this country have to say on this very, very important issue that we are discussing on Urban Debate tonight. We have our first viewer joining us on the broadcast, Brigadier R.K. Singh, calling us this evening. Thank you very much, Brigadier R.K. Singh, for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you will like to say? Go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much for...
Brigadier R.K. Singh, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me a chance. I just want to submit one thing, that for any pension surveys, we do have to have a criteria for selection, education, and physical fitness. For an army person, you have to serve for at least minimum 15 to 20 years. And a person signs a blank check of his life for the country. And that is the time, after 15 years or 20 years, he gets a pension, and the pension may not be more than 50 to 60,000. Out here, for two months of service, a person gets a pension of 87,000 for complete year. After 2 years only, and that too without any criteria, he is done. It is something like the politicians appropriate themselves the high court pay without any selection, any criteria, any third agency. Out here you can see, I mean, soldiers' life is so cheap, so this thing, they don't have any criteria. I mean, what is this happening? I'm surprised. I mean, why are you denigrating the people of the country who undergo so much difficult conditions? They serve the country in highest, altitude,
Brigadier,
difficult conditions. And then you waste the money like...
Brigadier Singh, if I may just quickly ask a question. Brigadier Singh, if I may just quickly ask you another question. When you retired, how much was the pension as a soldier in army you were drawing when you retired?
As a soldier, I drive, as a soldier when I retire, I get 58,000 rupees. Okay. 50 to 58,000 rupees I drive. And let me tell you, this is after having served in the chilling conditions of glacier and hot conditions of Rajasthan. And not only that, as I said, we sign a life check of our life for the country, for war and this thing. That we are not such.
Absolutely.
I mean, we are not such countries. Look at the disparity. It's so disgracing, so disturbing for the people of defense services, and not only defense services, ma'am. These are other armed forces people also.
Right. Brigadier Singh, thank you very much for calling us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now and sharing with us your perspective. Advocate CP Pramod, would you like to now respond why we are calling it abuse of taxpayers' money? Here you have somebody who served in the Indian Army. He has to serve for at least 15 years to be eligible for pension and gets about 50 to 58,000 per month. And here you have people, political appointees, where you are rewarding the Karyakarta who only have to work for 2 years and they are eligible for about 83,400 rupees per month. How is this justified?
This absolutely is a wrong statement. I take dissension for this statement, because a person who served for 2 years will get 83,000 rupees. From where these informations are coming? I don't know. The minimum pension is only 3,400 and it may vary slightly, some 10% or 20%.
And then you add gratuity plus 7% DA to it. You add gratuity and 7% DA to it.
See, please.
So I'm talking about the overall amount that you will get.
Gratuity is only a one-time affair, and that too, the person who is eligible for only 1 month's salary as gratuity. That is everywhere. That is not in connection with this thing. and the pension is not 83,000 rupees at all. The misinformation is being spread. And as the person, as the other, captain is, as the defense personnel is told, definitely there are criterion for selection for every field, definitely. But for personal staff, it is not there. And even my friend Free BJP is saying that only the relatives won't be considered. And even at the central government, there are persons serving, political persons who are serving in the central ministry as personal staff. And they are receiving salary at par with the central secretariat employees without having any qualification or any mode of selection.
Sir, there is a public interest litigation. Advocate Pramod, there is a public interest litigation that is pending before Kerala High Court challenging the manner of appointment of personal staff. And in that it is alleged that, the minimum pension for personal staff is 3,550 rupees. If a person has 2.5 years of service, he will receive this amount for the rest of this life, along with 7% DA and gratuity as per the rules. The maximum pension for personal staff is 83,400 rupees, the same as that of government employees. There is a PIL that is pending in Kerala High Court on this particular issue. So don't say that I am giving misinformation. And you just heard what a soldier had to say. And that is why I'm asking you, isn't this an abuse of taxpayers' money?
Somebody might have filed a petition without a responsibility or without having any calculation, because a person is eligible under the pension rule. And what exactly the pension he will receive? Suppose a person is receiving 1 lakh rupees as salary and he is having only 2 years service. He will get only 1 lakh divided by 30 into 2. What exactly the amount? You just calculate some 6,000 or 7,000 rupees. This is the maximum which he can draw. And nothing else, no salary, no pension as 35 or 83 lakhs. 83,000 is not at all given at all. And it is only a false statement given by UN in the court. And let the PIL come, let the judgment be there. See, all on a sudden, one person has filed a PIL, we did not debate upon. And even for the Supreme Court observation also, this is immaterial.
So you're saying this amount is not correct. But you're not denying the fact that that person becomes eligible for lifelong pension. You're not denying that fact, actually. I have 2 more viewers joining us on the broadcast. I'll come back to you, Advocate Pramod, in just a bit. Surya Kiran is joining us from Bengaluru. Surya Kiran, appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now. Tell us, what is it that you will like to say?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me on air and giving me this opportunity. The first point that I'd like to make is that pensions in general have turned out to be a disastrous economic policy. We can see that in Italy and several other countries. Of course, armed services and services where your life is endangered is a place where you're obligated to provide such benefits so that people are rewarded in one way or another. Second point that I wanted to make is, what entitles a person to receive such pension? In normal course of life, if a person is incapacitated due to whatever reason, or if he has, reached a certain age, or due to physical disability, or if the person is unable to work, in such cases, the pension is, merited. Are these, government or are these staff, supporting staff, incapacitated? Are they incapable of working in the future? Why should they be paid a pension? What is the reason for paying a pension? I'm certainly sure that these people would be, capable of working, for another duration of time. I'm sure that they are not 65 or 75 years of age. So ideally, this whole system is flawed. Why would you pay somebody who is capable of working?
That's a valid point you're making. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, Surya Kiran, for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. We have Mahadevan joining us from Mumbai as well. Mahadevan, good evening. Thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you would like to say?
Good evening to all the panelists, yourself, madam. This is Mahadevan. My first question is, I have put on 40 years of service in a private sector undertaking. And you know how much is the amount I am getting? As pension contributory partner, I am just getting 923 rupees. After putting 40 years of service, I am getting 923 rupees. This is what I am getting. Really sad state of affairs. And here, in case CPM wants to pay pension to all these political appointees who are, been appointed personal staff, let them pay from that, party fund. Why should they charge the exchequer for that? This is number two. Number three, I'm telling you, every time the CPM government comes to power, maybe today CPM is there, tomorrow Congress is there, that time CPM comes. The same political appointees will be their personal staff. So every time they will be getting pension. First set of pension, second set of pension, third set of pension. Here a person who has put 40 years of service gets 920 as contributory provision. It's a contributory provision fund.
My
Every
God.
year I have to show the life certificate. And here the guys are getting
After
within 2
40 years
This is
of service, 923 rupees as pension. Mr. Mahadevan, thank you very much for calling us here on Mirror Now and sharing with us your perspective. The point that you made is absolutely correct. Why can't these people be paid from the party fund if they indeed are political appointees? And this is their way. This is the way of the political party in power to reward these people. It's a valid question you've raised. I appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now and being a part of Urban Debate this evening. Two more viewers joining us on the broadcast today. Adil Desai, beg your pardon, from Mumbai. Adil, thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you would like to say?
Thing is that MPs in the Lok Sabha get pension after serving for 5 years, and after that, if they have served for more years, they get another increment per year. So what about that? Are they really worth getting a pension like that after serving for just 5 years? Is that something we should be giving to the MPs that are in Parliament?
Okay. Okay, Adil Desai, important point you've raised. Appreciate you calling us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Captain Jaspal Singh is joining us from Rohtak as well. Captain Jaspal Singh, thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you will like to say?
Very fortunate to get a chance today. Good evening to you all. From my case, you know what I was a regular commission officer, served for 20 years. But just 15 days short, they committed a contempt of High Court to deny me the pension. Supreme Court granted those 15 days, and the pension I got was 1921 rupees after fighting in the Supreme Court. What you are discussing is they have no shame, grace, and class in knowing what is public finance. Even here, put it off, it puts on the
all right, thank you. Captain Jaspal, appreciate you joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Mr. Jagdeep, you heard what the people of this country really have to say, and these people are also today concerned about how we are seeing abuse of taxpayers' money. The question is, why pay them pension at all from taxpayers' money only after them working with the ministers for 2 years, when the normal eligibility is at least 10 years for any other, government employee in Kerala? And if indeed it is required, why not come out with a bill? Why not come out with a law?
I have heard with greatest of respect what the two army officers had to say, and also what the private sector person had to say. The fact is that the way pensions are worked out in the private sector and in the armed forces are very different. But the broader point here is not only one party paying its so-called workers, taxpayers' money. It is a much larger issue, as some other person who's a public person who said, why should the MLAs and MPs be paid pensions for every tenure? So there is a vast misuse of public money under one pretext or the other by the so-called elected representatives. And it is elected representatives of all political parties who are misusing people's money without any check whatsoever. I have strong objections to any misuse of public money by anybody. But I also feel that Kerala Assembly may have done this. I don't know why, but it is condemnable. It is regrettable. But there are also much bigger things going on which we are not aware of. I am aware of some. Electoral bonds is something that I can tell you a lot about. So public money is being misused by so-called elected representatives with impunity. And we need to focus on that issue rather than, we need to look at the woods rather than look at the trees.
Okay. Why what you're saying is also correct, and why we are raising this issue is important, sir, because there was an RTI which actually suggested that the state is struggling financially. 362 personal staff were directly appointed by 21 ministers and the chief whip of the state government. The minimum amount that is required to be paid to them as salary only is about 1.12 crore per month. And then, now there is an annual burden as well. What you're saying is correct. MP's pension is another debate. But, sir, one wrong can't really justify the other. Don't you think?
No, that's perfectly all right. I don't know the quantum of the problem here, but every state has problem with their budget. Punjab is also suffering. Delhi also cries. Every state, no state finances are in good order. And if the state is in the red, it has no business appointing people on public's money at outrageous salaries. I have no doubt with that.
Okay. Advocate Pramod, I have another direct question for you. Just imagine a situation if BJP learns a lesson from what's happening in Kerala, and in BJP ruled state, whoever is appointed like this by ministers and the leaders there, and starts getting pension via executive order, will that be justified in your opinion?
See, those persons are serving in the government for a long period. You are just saying that only 2 years they are served and they are fired, etc. That is incorrect.
I'm talking about the personal staff. I'm talking about the personal staff that is with ministers. I'm just talking about the personal staff, and here I'm talking about the eligibility criteria that you have. I'm not saying that they work only for 2 years. I'm saying that after 2 years they become eligible for getting pension throughout their life.
They are also working for the government, for a short while, or even for a longer period, where subject to the government voted into power. And see, for the last 38 years only, we got 1,223 pensioners as of now. It is not as if every 5 years adding this 360 or 340 like that. That number is wrong, absolutely wrong. And they are also working in their prime age, and they are working for the government.
Why don't you give us the correct numbers then? Every number that I have quoted, Advocate Pramod, you've said is incorrect. However, the question today is not so much about the number. The question today is how you are giving pension. Is there a bill? Is there an act in place? And also my third question, if similar thing would have happened in a BJP ruled state, would you have accepted it? Yes or no?
Sorry, ma'am, I don't have any quarrel with you. The figures you put in is right. But you see, it is in existence for the last 38 years, and the total number of pensioners are only 1,223. You just multiply the figures of now, the 260 something into these years. So how many number will you is there? You can just imagine. See, I'm only pointing out the figures, and you are saying that. What if the other state governments do the same thing if at par with the government? They are also giving pensions to their personal staff. That exactly is your question, I think. So if that be the case, if subject to their service, if they are offering some benefits as social security, that is perfectly justified. Absolutely no quarrel. Why should you quarrel? And even the governors are being paid heftily. Are they appointed with any sort of any criterion? Unfortunately, in the Indian constitution, the only person who is the governor need not be elected.
But
And
Kevin,
there is
the
no
point
qualification
is
for
that
his
if
appointment.
these
So-
people, if
so
the
every-
political parties
these
want to
are-
reward
are-
these people, then it can
these
be
are
given
different-
via the party fund. Why use taxpayers' money to reward these people is my simple question.
See,
before I answer that,
everywhere taxpayers' money is being paid for the employees. And even I pointed it out, for the first NDA government has written off almost 2.41 lakh crores for the corporates. That also was corporate money. Was there any discussion?
Governors are appointed as per constitution. No, one second. Since you are focusing only on that aspect, Advocate Pramod, one second. Hear my question first. Governors are appointed as per constitution. One second. What is the process? You please respond to my question. What is the process to appoint the personal staff of a minister? Do they have to clear an exam? Is there any government process that they need to follow through which they are appointed? Which exam is it?
Personal staffs are appointed wherever in India, in every states as well as in the central government. Personal staffs are appointed only to the sweet will and pressure of the political party in power, whether it is BJP or it is TMC or it is Congress or it is CPM. Sweet will and pressure of the party. So that is existing practice. Why should you single out and attack one state? That is immoral. That is not correct.
No, because the Supreme Court has raised question today, sir. Advocate Pramod, because the Supreme Court today has raised questions. Supreme Court today has singled out the state of Kerala, saying that it's the only state in the country where the personal appointees actually become eligible for pension, lifelong pension, only after working with the ministers for 2 years. That's the reason why we are having this debate today. I know Kevin also wants to respond, but before that, let me quickly go across to another viewer joining us on the broadcast. Subhaya Venugopal is joining us from Bengaluru. Thank you very much, Venugopal. Appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you would like to say?
Ma'am, good evening and thank you. Basically, I'm an ardent fan of Mirror and so I am calling from Bangalore. I have been seeing the program. Let me tell you only two things. One, let me tell you that the decision of the Kerala government is atrocious. And also, it is sucking the exchequer to the tune of 80 crores. The same thing can be used to improve the infrastructure of the many Kerala villages where I have traveled. The second thing is that, as you said, the personal assistants or whatever you call the personal staff of any political party are not appointed through any examinations. Let me tell you an example of Karnataka, where the earlier chief minister had one PA who was just a conductor in the Department of Transport. She amassed a wealth of 30 crores and he was sent back to his original service. So this is the condition, this is the morale of our personal staff. I am so sorry to say this. I strongly condemn the Kerala government's action, whether it is passed through in legislation or through a bill or through a governor's consent, doesn't matter. What all it matters is a huge amount is spent for doing nothing.
Mr. Venugopal, I appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now and sharing with us your perspective. It's a very valid point that you've raised here. I'll go across to Kevin. Just one more viewer joining us on the broadcast this evening, Ramani from Bangalore. Thank you for joining us here on Urban Debate. What is it that you would like to say?
Hello. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to just put a point here. There are a lot of pensioners who have not yet become, though they are eligible after putting 40 years of service, they don't get anything. And the government just spends the money to this action is just very much unjustified, uncalled for. In spite of there are judgments from Supreme Court where pension has to be paid, the same government puts a litigation there and a special leave petition and continues it for unreasonable time. Then who is to be replied? At what cost? Is the point, and it is across all political parties. So there is nobody is right or wrong.
Absolutely.
Everybody is in that same loop. Only the common man suffers here for everything. So it is a point that it is
absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling us here on Mirror Now and sharing with us your perspective. Kevin, you know, the question still remains the same. There is no guarantee of pension for crores of taxpayers across the country, but via a decision of the state cabinet in Kerala, these people who work with ministers are eligible for lifelong pension. Isn't it unfair, towards crores of taxpayers?
Ma'am, I concede that the system itself is flawed and we can always work towards finding ways to improve the system. But my another submission to you today is, when you do this today, you're doing a disservice, because when you are holding this debate, singling out a single state, not bringing in the actual perspective, because when you're comparing pensions, you should be comparing pensions between somebody who is paid in a private sector. And if you want to compare, you should actually compare the total cost to the state and the exchequer for the private staff of ministers and the political appointees across all states and the country as a whole. And that should be a comparison. And when you want to put it, because I saw it that you claiming that BJP is holier than thou. Also, my state managers were also doing that. But let me tell you this, ma'am, the amount going to Judicial, bank account, 1 month must become the total.
With due respect, Kevin Matthews, these were not my words. This is what the Supreme Court observed today. For Kerala, these were the words that came from the Supreme Court today. You are the only... One second, Kevin, 1 second. We are not singling out any state here. We are just looking at what the Supreme Court said today. For Kerala, here's what Supreme Court said. You're the only state where persons are appointed for 2 years and give them lifelong pension. That is the reason we've raised this. And I have mentioned in my earlier part of the debate also that no political party here claimed to be better than the other in terms of rewarding the Karyakarta. Here it is happening because there has been a cabinet decision in this regard, and this practice has been going on since 1984.
Ma'am, I am saying this because the Supreme Court figured out Kerala because it was in the dedication related to Kerala state. But when you hold a discussion on this specific topic, it should be, the perspective should be set such-wise. So when you're talking about litigation,
so you think we should not be focusing on Kerala where there is a policy in place? Okay. Advocate Pramod, I want to give you the last word. The governor had also raised concern about this policy. Supreme Court today also, spoke about this policy in Kerala, even though it was hearing another case. Do you think that at least the government can have a relook at this policy now that questions are being raised and it is a misuse of taxpayers' money?
Kerala governor, with due respect to him, has raised this point after assuring that his 2 personal staffs, one photographer and other attendant, got permanent in the service after pressurizing the government.
No, I asked you a simple question. Will your government have a relook at this policy or not?
They are not.
You heard what the people of this country had to say. Will your government have a relook at the policy or not? Yes or no?
Those are all the matters to be decided by the government. How can I say? See, I am only pointing out that why the governor
You're the leader
has all on a sudden made the point after getting secure his 2 personal staffs making permanent without having any procedure of appointment. He done it, and subsequently he turned around and said that, see, this is not correct, this is incorrect. What is the fallacy of it? And what happened in the Supreme Court, my learned senior friend already stated, it is only an obiter, it is only a passing reference, it is not at all dealing with this case at all. And I don't think any national issue is there to single out Kerala for the attack, because everywhere in every state, every party appoints their staff, personal staff, at their sweet will and pleasure. And for them,
how convenient, Mr. Jagdeep, target the messenger
from
here.
Exchequer alone is paid.
So convenient.
No party fund is paid from, only from the Exchequer.
Kerala made the mistake of making it official. Therefore, they are in trouble.
Everywhere it is official, sir. Everywhere it is official. They are drawing salary to the tune of Central Secretariat or the State Secretariat. They are drawing salary according to.
I think Mr. Jagdeep has summed it up pretty well. Mr. Jagdeep has summed it up pretty well. Something that Advocate Pramod also wanted to say, that it is official and that's why today it's being talked about. But it needs to be corrected. That is the reason why we are having this discussion. You heard what the people of the country had to say. They also believe that this is an abuse of taxpayers' money when the taxpayers themselves do not have any sort of security of pension. Why should these people be getting it? And even if the party wants to reward the Karyakarta, the party cadre, it can be done from party fund. Why use taxpayers' money for this? Let the taxpayers' money be for the welfare of the people of the state, the people of this country. I appreciate all my viewers for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Heading into a very, very short break, but there's lots lined up for you on the other side as well. Stay with us.